From Dog Lake Brewery in Fort Worth, Texas, it's time for You Can't Brew That on Television. Now, here are your hosts, Brewmeisters Kyle and the Reverend Ryan Bono.
Good evening, Internet, and welcome to yet another exciting episode of You Can't Brew That on Television. Tonight we have a Singles Awareness Day episode for you. We are your hosts. I am the Reverend Ryan Bono.
And I am Kyle. Just go with it, the point.
Just go with it. And we are coming to you live as we do every Monday to help you bridge the gap between beer snob and frat boy. What are we doing tonight, Kyle?
Well, tonight we're going to talk about Valentine's Day.
Okay.
Because that's what it is.
Also labeled Singles Awareness Day. This is a movement that's happening. I have to credit my friend Stacy Labrada for bringing that to my attention.
Thank you, Stacy.
Thank you, Stacy. So we're going to talk about Singles Awareness Day / Valentine's Day.
That's going to happen.
Yeah.
We're going to drink a beer. It's Valentine's Day, so we're going to drink a cellar beer. This is a Schlafly Reserve oak-aged barley wine from 2008.
Oh, that sounds wonderful.
I'm very happy.
I think I just felt Cupid's sting just now, just looking at this. This looks really good. So, while Kyle is off doing whatever it is he's doing, I'll let you know we've got some trivia for tonight. Once again, provided to us by our good friends over the Half-Ass Sportscast.
I wonder which cheek they're going to cheeky with us.
Yeah, that's a good question.
What? I've got an 800 number calling us.
We're getting phone calls. That's pretty sure that's not supposed to happen on the show.
Should we take an 800
not
number?
Yet. No, let's not take the call just yet. Stacy just tuned in, actually. Stacy, if you weren't paying attention a minute ago, thanks for bringing Singles Awareness Day to my attention. In honor of Singles Awareness Day, we're going to bring to you a good Singles Awareness Day meal. It's a 3-course meal that involves beer at all levels. And we're going to take a look at that. We've got a viewer question.
Yep, we've got a viewer question. Actually, a series of questions.
Viewer questions. We're going to get through one or two of them tonight, and we'll probably have to save the rest of them for a future episode because he had a lot of questions, and we've got a lot of answers. So, Kyle, why don't you tell us about the beer that we're pouring right now?
Well, this is a barley wine. I'm guessing since it's out of St. Louis that it's going to be an American-style barley wine. And barley wines are just big beers. It's hard to make a beer this big when you use the same processes that most people do during the normal brewing process. You only take the first beginnings of what you're making with a beer, so the first runnings, as they call it, and you turn that into a beer. Don't know if there's live yeast in there. It doesn't look like it.
I don't know about the flavor, but it's smelling like it's going to be English. There's a lot of caramel busting out of there. You're definitely getting this is aged in oak barrels, right? You're definitely getting the oak peeking through.
Yeah, very much so. You just smell it. It's not an American barley wine. That's good. Ooh, yeah.
Yeah, I mean that's big. That's
nice
big
smell.
Caramel. That is a very English beer, everyone.
Huge melanoidin. We talk about that almost every week.
Yeah, melanoidin.
Like.
We have new viewers joining us every week, so let's talk a little bit about melanoidin.
Bread.
Yeah, it's bread. It's a fancy way to say the smell you get when you're driving by a bread factory.
That's true.
And it's highly desirable in many styles of beer.
A lot of styles in England and a lot of styles in Europe in general love that melanoidin flavor.
Absolutely. So while we're enjoying the heck out of this beer, I think that the guys over at Half-Ass Sportscast have provided some trivia for us tonight. So,
yes,
Rich, why don't you go ahead and run that trivia?
Okay, the trivia question they're bringing to you tonight. This is from Johnny over at Half-Assed. Yeah. He asked, what is the most expensive beer in the world? Okay, what is the most expensive and the world? You can discount the price of the world with that. Let's just make it, what's the most expensive price of the beer? No, that was my bad.
How much does it cost?
And how much does it cost?
Didn't somebody make a beer, or was that a whiskey that was served in like taxidermied animals?
That was a beer.
Was that a beer? Because that was several $1,000s a bottle, wasn't it?
I'm fairly certain that was Brew Dog who did that, right?
Yeah.
Well, I read an article, and the tough part about this question is that it changes every week.
Yeah, it does. It absolutely does.
There has been a lot of different, highest alcohol, highest cost beers changing hands.
Yeah, because that one was a limited edition. I mean, it was only available for a few weeks, so I seriously doubt you could call it the most expensive in the beer in the world.
Let's go with that because I know that one was really expensive.
Yeah, let's go with the Brew Dog. Rich?
Oh wait, I got one for this.
Oh. I think we're going to be hearing that sound effect a lot.
The correct answer that he dug up was Vieille Bon Secours at 39 pounds a pint. It's kind of a ridiculous
Yeah,
price.
that's way wrong. That's cool that he tried, but he's way wrong.
That might be the most expensive beer available, like in a pub.
Yeah,
because you can't just go to the pub and get that taxidermy beer. You have to actually like special order it. So I'm sure that's right on some level.
But I mean, even the one that Sam Adams makes,
Utopias,
that's $200 a bottle or something like that.
Yeah.
So I mean, that's even more expensive.
No, that's the price per pint.
But that beer is only 20 ounces, 22 ounces.
Yeah.
So even price per pint, it's still more.
Okay, so you're talking volume for volume. He says they sell the. You can buy the bottle for 500 pounds. Makes it about around $1,000.
Wow.
So, but you can only buy it from this one place. So it's not like you can go get it at market value.
So maybe that's this week's most expensive beer in the world.
It could be.
Yeah. So let's move right along to our viewer question.
What do you think of this beer? What do you think of this beer?
I'm really liking it. It's very smooth.
For an oaked beer, I'm surprised at how smooth it is.
And that's kind of what's getting me. Typically, oaked beers are very hard to smooth out. It takes a very skilled and patient brewer to be able to smooth out an oaked beer.
Yeah, and they may have used I'd have to read on it. They may have used like a really young whiskey barrel or something like that, like a Scotch, an 8-year or something like that.
Yeah, they might have done something like that.
But it's nice. Nice.
It's very nice. I'm enjoying the heck out of it. So let's get to our viewer questions. And we did this a lot in previous seasons, and it's something we've sort of slipped away from. We do want to hear from you. We want to hear from the viewing audience. And,
I don't. He does.
I do.
And so if you have any questions,
I like the audience.
And, send them to Bono. Or our dogs, because they want to be
except for the dogs, because they want to be noisy. So anyway, let's get to the viewer questions.
Okay. Well, tonight we have a question from Mike Tanner in Useless, Texas.
Okay.
And he's got some questions on kegerators.
All right. What does Mike want to know about kegerators?
Well, he had asked me some questions via email about he's got a hookup and he's going to be able to get a factory dispensing kegerator, one that you see from Magic Chef. It's a pretty nice unit, but it's about $500 regularly, and he's managed to snag one of these. Great find. If you can get something like that, they're great because they're factory. You don't have to worry about making anything. They've got expensive parts on them already. They got a beer tower, so it chills the beer on the way up. They've got all these different things that are really nice. But
sorry, it's getting crazy in the chat room.
Oh,
somehow the topic of me wearing eyeliner and shaving my eyebrows has come up.
That's every Valentine's Day.
Yeah, I guess so. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
It's a special treat for our viewers.
I was momentarily distracted. I am glad that the chat room is finally up and running and very alive. So,
but this question comes from a viewer of ours that is not kegging right now. He's bottling his beer.
He wants to get into kegging. So, which, as you know, and we've talked about this before. We'll talk about it again. Kegging is significantly easier on the brewer, and I think on the drinker as well, than bottling.
By the way, got a big gross of food grade CO2 tanks for our little picnic tap shooter thing. So
we don't have to worry about running out of CO2 anymore.
Uh-huh. And so basically, one of the quick questions that he had asked was, what's a good price for kegs? Where do I find them? And what's a standard keg? Is it pin lock or is it ball lock? This day and age, ball lock is definitely considered the most common. And I'm not really sure why. Some people have mentioned to me, because I've never used a pin lock, but some people have mentioned that they have a hard time staying on. But it's a weird kind of thing because they call it a ball lock, but there's really no ball involved in that. It's a pin that goes into the top of a poppet and pushes the poppet down on a spring. When the pin comes out, then the spring pushes the poppet back up to close off the connection. So to me, that's a pin, but what they call a pin is actually a connection that fits around two pins, and you fit it around the two pins, and then you twist it so that the pins stay down, and it's a graduated lock like that. So that's a pin lock. And Now, apparently, pin locks can get weak or can have leaks that you don't know about. So a lot of people don't use those, but they're still common. You can find them.
What do we use here at Dogleg Brewery?
We use the pin lock, or excuse me, we use the ball lock.
I was just gonna say I don't think that's right.
So,
nice. There's the sound effect again. So what was Mike's second question?
Well, that pretty much answered the first one, which was what's the standard. The second question was, where do I find these and what's a good price?
Okay.
And the question is right now whether or not you can find a keg, not where's the best place to buy them, because they're actually getting a little bit more rare as people are getting, the home brewing world is kind of exploding over the last 20 years, and it's still growing.
Yeah.
So there's a lot more people looking for these used kegs that they were using at Pepsi and Coca-Cola, and well, what they're doing now is people are selling them on whatever websites they can find.
Because just like with any other hobby, you have a lot of people that are getting into it. The more people get into it, the more people quit a couple years later for whatever reason. You know, they run out of time. They don't enjoy it as much as they thought they would. Well, there's a million reasons, but still there are people who are quitting the hobby and they are getting rid of their old kegs. So Craigslist is a very, very good resource for finding cheap and useful brewing equipment of any sort, really.
Yeah, it's a good spot, and sometimes you can find them. But really, kegconnection.com, that's a place out of San Marcos. There's a place up in Detroit, Adventures in Home Brewing, that sells pretty good prices on kegs. More Beer, all of the different websites have prices for kegs. If you can find them for $30, you're doing pretty good right now. If you can find what they call a grade A, which means that it's been retrofitted or it's in prime condition, $50. It's a pretty good price for that too. So yeah, you're looking in the $30 to $50 range, and hopefully you can find one, because some of them are in pretty bad shape. So if you buy a really crappy one for $30, you may have to replace every O-ring on there, and you can buy kits for $4 or $5 for all the O-rings, but you're gonna have to replace all the rubber on there.
Yeah.
Get it back to normal.
Just one of those things that, the perils of buying anything used, really.
Mm-hmm.
So we actually we skipped over some news that we want to discuss with you tonight. There's another new brewery in Oklahoma. And we're really excited about this because it's been founded, and the brewer right now is a guy that was part of one of our favorite breweries, and that is the Coop Brewery.
Yeah, Coop.
Out of Oklahoma.
Makes some great stuff.
Yeah, and so I'd really like to get a hold of some of their stuff and taste it on the show. We don't have any of it yet, but if the offerings that we've seen from Coop are any indication, this is going to be another fantastic brewery.
What's the name of that brewery?
It is called the Red Bud Brewery.
That's cool. I mean, that's a really good deal, and hopefully it was a copacetic relationship. I know he brewed beers over there with Coop. Hopefully they didn't leave, on a sour note. I'm thinking that, there's room in that Oklahoma market for many people.
There really is.
To have beer and not compete against each other, but against the big guys.
Yeah, I mean, Texas is, it's not played out. Texas, there's still plenty of room
everywhere.
But Oklahoma is just getting started on the craft beer scene, and so there's a lot of room for new players.
That's true, and it's great to see that somebody can start a brewery in that state, and and it's a feasible option for them, because according to Keel, the guy that clued me in on this today. Actually, he said this beer that he's trying from them is fantastic. So
good stuff. So we definitely
everything I've tried from Coop has been great. So
it's been wonderful. So we definitely look forward to trying some of that on the show during a future episode.
For sure.
So without further ado, let's get to tonight's topic. Tonight, as we mentioned, and you all know, it's Valentine's Day. It's Singles Awareness Day. Thank you, Stacy. And we're going to talk about making a meal using beer that will. Well, I'm gonna let one of the studio audience members.
Bono's trying
to escape,
and we're gonna try to let all the studio audience out. Now they're back.
Don't want to go anywhere.
But Bono and I were talking, and I had mentioned to him Valentine's Day was coming up, and that oftentimes pairing beers with Valentine's Day is a good thing. And I asked him what he likes to do on Valentine's Day, and he said, I like to try to get my wife as drunk as possible.
That's right. So
on Valentine's Day.
She'll forget that she's my wife. That's really what we're going after here. So we decided to put together a 3-course meal that has beer in each of the courses and aphrodisiacs. Because, as we all know, aphrodisiacs and beer are two good things for St. Valentine's Day or Singles Awareness Day. So let's go ahead and get started.
Okay.
First course of a 3-course meal, we're going to have salad. And easy way to work beer into a salad is in the dressing.
Because, very true.
Yeah, dressing is already liquid. So I did some research, and we're going to post all these recipes on our website later tonight. No, she is not here tonight, and my dad is going to tell on me for saying those nasty things about my wife. So I found a great recipe for a poppy seed-based salad dressing that has beer, and it calls for...
So you're going for poppies and beer.
Poppies and beer, and we're also going to throw some sliced avocado into the salad because avocado is an aphrodisiac.
Can I throw it out?
Yeah, if you want, yeah.
Okay, good.
Yeah, that's no problem. So the salad dressing that I found is mainly honey, oil, lemon, and beer. Now, they didn't specify a beer. I figured that's where we come in.
I got a beer in my
I've
mind
got one in mind. Why don't you tell me what you've got?
I would say get it with a big sour beer. If you're going with a lemon, something citrusy, then you could hit it with like a Cantillon or, something more readily available, maybe even like a Duchess de Bourgogne. It's a sour.
Now, that is something interesting. I had not thought about taking the sour from the lemon and just really punching it through. That I think that could be really neat.
Could be fun.
I was thinking more along the lines of something. You've already got lemon in there. You've got some. Oh, there are also some other spices that I neglected to mention. But I thought that a really nice way to complement that would be a nice Hefeweizen. Even like a Blue Moon, I feel would be a really nice light complement to those other ingredients.
Nice and yeasty.
Yeah.
So instead of using the water in those in the salad dressing, and some people make their salad dressings more thick than others. Yeah. But you're talking, if you did something like that, it would have to be.
Yeah, it would be pretty thin. It would be very liquidy. But I think it would be a nice, like, it's something that you would that you would sort of like sprinkle on there rather than like you would douse on and it would sit on top like a ranch. Although how good would like taking a ranch salad dressing packet and making it with beer instead of water, how good would that be?
And if you're going to do something like that, that's when you go and bridge the gap. Get a Miller Lite, get a Coors Light, get something cheap and light, and open it up, let it decarbonate, let all the oxygen, or all the carbonation just blow out of it, and then boom, use that as water, man.
Stacy's down for the Blue Moon. She wants to throw some Blue Moon on her salad.
Okay.
And
there you go.
And beer, Wessex is suggesting some beer battered ranch, so I think that's kind of along the lines of where we were going with that.
That's good.
So next we've got our main course.
All right.
Main course was difficult because remember,
no soup.
No, and I'll get to that.
I wanted soup. Well,
you can't have soup because soup has to be cooked, and we don't want to cook our beer because we'll cook all the alcohol.
You're ruining Kyle's fantasy date, Bono.
The object here is drunkenness. We're not looking for delicious food. We're looking to
imbibe as much beer as possible
drink as much beer as possible. That's right.
Okay. Well, I like that then.
So the main course was really tough.
All right.
Because just about every main course I found that involved beer had to cook the beer for some reason. So I sort of went off the cuff on this, and I made my own recipe. So we'll see how the audience likes it. Did some research on discoveryhealth.com, found that garlic is a known aphrodisiac. In fact, Tibetan monks were not allowed in ancient Tibet, were not allowed to go into the monastery if they had been eating garlic because it stirred their passions. So I don't know what was going on in the monastery. I think there was some hanky-panky going on
apparently
after eating garlic.
Oh, God, that is awful.
That's pretty awful.
They must have been stirring the passion.
They might have been.
Gross.
And that's just gross. So anyway, I've got a fantastic recipe at home for roast pork that has a garlic sort of like glaze on it. And I just thought, what if we took that garlic glaze? It's a roasted garlic glaze with they actually make it with balsamic vinegar. By
glaze, you mean
you just roast the pork and then you sprinkle the glaze on top of it post roasting.
Okay, and the glaze is like a syrupy type mix at that point?
It's syrupy. It's going to be thick. It's going to be loaded with roasted garlic. And I was thinking that something like moderate. You're making a face. Where do you want to go with this?
No, I'm good. I've got.
You're really gross.
I'm just laughing because
Because I'm walking right into stuff. So.
No, keep going. I'm trying not.
Yeah,
to
I know you are. Anyway, so I was thinking that you could take this recipe that originally had balsamic vinegar in it,
okay,
ditch the balsamic, and move a beer in. Any idea where you would go with that?
Well, a balsamic vinegar again. I mean, you're going to go with something lactic. You got to have something sour.
I was thinking the same thing.
A saison, like
that would be a really neat idea.
Yeah.
Saison DuPont comes to mind. Just go classic with it. Yeah.
Because that's readily available. You can get that at Central Market, Halls. I believe they have it over here at the Randall Mill Majestics.
Yeah.
Several Majestics, actually.
Yeah, that's an easy one to get pretty much anywhere in the country. I mean, we've got coast-to-coast viewers, so I think just about everybody could get that.
Well, shoot, Saison DuPont.
Omagong has a very nice Saison that I think would go well in that recipe.
And that's a New York brewery, so it's stateswide.
All right, so we've got our main course.
Okay.
Let's throw a few side dishes in there.
Okay.
Again, still tough because just about everything's cooked. But I did find a really nice recipe for a warm potato salad, like a German-style warm potato salad with a beer dressing. And what they call for is oil, onions, vinegar, Dijon, and lager. Some sort of lager. I was almost tending towards a darker lager.
I would go with something like a Doppelbock.
I was thinking like a Doppelbock.
Yeah.
Yeah. That was the exact first thing that came to mind. What was a Doppelbock?
Yeah. And, I was going to say, or if you want to go more local, maybe get something like the Avery Kaiser, an Imperial Oktoberfest.
Yeah. What's a good Doppelbock that people could throw on
there? Spaten Optimator.
That good call. I like that. That's a really nice call. And it's a dark beer. It's going to give a kind of a dark look to your the dressing on your potato salad, but I think it'd be worth it because that's an amazing beer.
It's great.
So another side dish.
I'm 2 sheets now. So
you're 2 sheets now. All right. So
give me the rest.
Things are about to go downhill. I found a recipe for asparagus with a maple glaze. Asparagus also called out by DiscoveryHealth.com as an aphrodisiac.
Isn't that amazing? What turns your pee?
Exactly. I thought the exact same. And same with the thing with that garlic. Like it just makes you reek, but apparently it gets you going. I don't know.
It must be the part of your digestive system that just doesn't know how to process.
It must be. That must be the exact thing that's going on with aphrodisiacs. So this maple glaze on your asparagus calls for oil, maple syrup, and beer.
Okay.
So the thing I originally just like right off the bat thought was something big and caramely, and I'm thinking this. I think this would complement the flavor of maple syrup beautifully. And again,
yes. Any English barley wine or old ale would be perfect.
Yeah, how do you pronounce that?
Schlafly.
Schlafly? Yeah, this Schlafly Reserve barley wine, I think, would be perfect in that recipe.
This is a pretty decent-sized brewery, I believe, up there in the Kansas City area. We've got a friend in Kansas City. We should double-check that.
We have a question, white or green asparagus? I've never seen white asparagus, so... studio audience says that white asparagus is very good and very difficult to find.
So, no, that's awful. Why would you have something that's difficult to find?
Yeah, we're trying to get her drunk. We're not trying to impress her. Come on, guys.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, So, studio audience brings up a good point. It would look nicer on white.
If you're cheferizing things using a cheferometer, then you should definitely try to make it pretty.
Absolutely. I think that's a great idea. So, final course.
Okay.
It's time for dessert.
That's so easy.
Everybody loves... Oh, yeah, there's a million directions you could go with this.
It's probably the only way I'll eat dessert is if it has beer in it.
So, I decided, you've already made this salad, you've roasted the pork, you made all this stuff, you're tired of making food. Why not just make a simple chocolate cake? Just like a box. You just add like right out of the box and glaze it with a chocolate frosting glaze, and into the chocolate frosting put some stout beer.
Okay.
So right off the bat, I mean, the very first beer you think of when you think about that.
Young's Double Chocolate
Young's
Stout?
Double Chocolate Stout. That, like, just immediately, and again, we're not cooking the beer. Very important. We have made a cake, and then we let it cool, and then we mix up this frosting that I found that has dark chocolate, cocoa, sugar, just like typical frosting stuff. It's got dark chocolate, sugar, cocoa, butter, stuff like that. And then you just throw some stout in there, and then you just frost the cake post-cooking. So, Young's Double Chocolate Stout, delicious, just right off the bat. Both of us thought of that. I would also go with, it's extraordinarily difficult to find, which is why I didn't think of it right off the bat, Sam Adams Double Chocolate Bock.
Okay.
Only chocolate beer I've ever had that it actually tastes like chocolate milk. It is completely ridiculous. Amazing beer. And I highly recommend it. But again, hard to find, so I wouldn't make that your first choice because you're going to be awfully disappointed.
That brewery, it does some amazing things in the midst of doing such mediocre things.
Oh, yeah, they really do.
They try everything. I mean, congrats to them. They really bring a lot of people into the beer world.
Yeah.
I mean, they introduce every style, and they put it mainstream to where somebody goes, oh, there is such thing as a double chocolate Bock, right? And, and that's something that's, maybe double chocolate Bock is a slight deviation on the norm, but, it's not uncommon for people to use chocolate in beer. And this is one way for, a company like that to actually make some good beers, and they do.
And while introducing a lot of people to craft brewing that would not have otherwise gotten into it, they also do a really good job of pleasing the people that are already into it.
Yeah.
Because they make a lot of great offerings. Yeah, Utopias, which we mentioned earlier.
Their Boston Lager is a good beer.
Well, yeah, Boston Lager it's a good solid offering.
Yeah, if you need a 6-pack or if you're at a bar and they've got nothing but BMC on the taps, and then for some reason you can find that in Texas we get Shiner, which it used to be better than it is.
I've outgrown Shiner.
Yeah. And then you've got they'll hit Sam Adams, and it's like, well, that's all you got is these 6 beers and light Sam Adams. Okay, I'll go Sam Adams. I mean, it's great.
And their seasonals are tremendous.
Yeah, they do a good job.
The Oktoberfest, the Winter Lager, the Noble Pils, all like wonderful beers. Pils. So let's go back over our meal. Okay. And just real quick, I'd also like to throw out a suggestion as a beer to drink, because I couldn't think of anywhere to put this into the actual meal, is a fantastic offering by the Harpoon Brewery. Where's Harpoon? Are they in Rhode Island?
They're somewhere up in the Northeast.
One of those states up there.
There's like 50 states.
Yeah, they're all like in one, like on one street corner. There's like more states than Starbucks. But so the Harpoon Brewery makes a fantastic beer called Oyster Stout, and believe me, it sounds horrendous.
It's because it is.
No, it is not. It's amazing.
No, it's great. It really, it's a big stouty beer, and you're drinking it. And if it's a little too cold when they serve it, you're going to miss some of the subtleties in it. And then as it warms up, you're going to go, wow, tastes like I'm drinking this out of an oyster shell.
Yeah, it really does.
It's good.
Yeah, don't let it warm up.
Yeah.
So let's go back and look at our meal.
Okay.
We had our salad dressing.
All right. I didn't have any of that.
You didn't have any of that, but
Teddy did.
Teddy did.
She's warming up.
And avocado was the aphrodisiac in that. And
I'm green with envy.
He is green with envy. And for the beer, we sort of differed on this. I went with a Hefeweizen. I liked the Blue Moon idea. Okay. Kyle wanted a big Belgian sour.
Okay.
Then we have our main course. We have roast pork with a garlic beer dressing. We've got warm potato salad with a beer dressing. And we've got asparagus with a maple beer glaze. And then for dessert, just cake with a big chocolate stout frosting.
I like it.
I like it. And so we're going to post these recipes on our Facebook page. And then next year, where there is some talk of us actually making this meal and sharing it with you as we make it.
And we're going to eat it together, too, which could be really bad.
No, I don't think that's a good idea. That could get really ugly.
So we've got some time, like 30 seconds.
Yeah, actually, we did have a question from the chat room.
All right.
So Wessex wanted to know...
Yeah, I think he was asking about once you open a beer or something...
If you open and then refrigerate a can or bottle of beer, how long until all of the alcohol stops being functional to drink?
Oh no, the alcohol will never stop being functional to
It's
drink.
just not going to taste very
You're
good
just
after
gonna,
a while.
What happens is oxygen gets in there. Oxygen makes beer taste bad. And if anybody was in the pre-show, we've got a beer that we had a keg that we could not keep
Oxygenated to heck. Yeah, we couldn't keep it sealed.
Keep the keg sealed. So, little did we know, it sat for a couple of weeks, and then all of a sudden it doesn't have any CO2 on it. So it's been getting oxygen in the beer slowly, but it was getting oxygen in the beer, and that affects the flavor. Basically, makes it taste stale, and you're going to lose the actual embedded carbonation, the carbonation that gets soaked up inside of the beer itself.
And carbonation, as we've talked about in the past, is such a big part of your flavor. Yeah, it's one of the 3 C's.
Yeah,
and as a big part of your flavor, you really underestimate carbonation until it's not there.
That's right.
And in my experience, I don't know, this is just me, but in my place, that alcohol is going to have a shelf life of about 10 to 15 minutes. And after that point, I'm going to have come in and drank it. And so it's really not going to do you any good because it's just going to be an empty can.
True. I get that. I see where you're going there. You doubled back on me.
Thanks, Rich.
So, anyway, if you're going to put a beer back in the fridge and it's a can of something, then you're kind of silly. If you're going to put a beer back in the fridge and it's a bottle, use one of the wine stopper deals, right? I mean, you can get those in any wine store to stop the bottle.
Just keep the oxygen out of there. Yeah. That's your biggest priority if you're trying to save a beer for later. Keep the oxygen out.
And if it's a big beer that doesn't have a lot of oxygen, or it doesn't have a lot of carbonation in it, something like a 10-year-old old ale or something like that, that'll last a couple days in the fridge and not be dead because it's supposed to have some oxygenation flavor.
Yeah, absolutely.
But if you try to drink like Sam Adams and you put a cork on it, you're lucky if you can get 6 hours in the fridge.
So why don't you put a cork in it?
Okay.
So that we can go over what we learned tonight.
All right. What
actually uncork it because I need you to talk about this too. We learned that there is a lot of room for good beer in Oklahoma, and there's a new player on the market.
All right, Redbud, way to go. We also learned that the most expensive beer on the market is something that's cheaper than what we've seen things sell for.
And it's highly controversial. Yeah, since it is cheaper than stuff we've seen. We've learned that it's possible to get a woman so high on alcohol and aphrodisiacs that she actually thinks I'm attractive.
And we've also learned that you can make a lot of good food with beer.
Yeah, well, absolutely. And that's something that we're going to talk about a lot in the future, I think. Tonight, we sort of glazed the surface, I think.
Oh, I get it. That's hold on. That you add. Write that down. Glazed. How do you spell that? It's G.
Does glazed have 1K? Does glazed have 1K or 2?
Okay. All right.
We sort of glazed the surface. There's a lot more cooking with beer that we're going to do in the future. This is our first try
at it. If you don't cook chili with beer, I think you're kind of in trouble. I mean, there's a few things like that they're just meant for beer.
Yeah. So, did we learn anything? Oh yeah, we learned about how kegs operate.
Yeah,
and we're going to learn. And next week,
next
week we're going to learn a little bit more about how kegs operate. We've got 2 more viewer questions about kegs, and we've got a short video about how to properly use a keg picnic tap.
Picnic tap.
So that
come on out there, folks. If you're misusing a picnic tap, you need to watch this next week. We will find you.
So that's what we've got coming up next week, and until then, we would like you to remember that we are not professionals.
So please try this at home.
This agitation, frustration, the memorization of the things I'm gonna do to you. This magical and powerful addiction to the pain affliction on your pulse and skin.